committees is that there are a number of members here who will be seeking statements from standing committees. The nominated Senator, Honorable Veronica Maina, will be seeking a statement from the Standing Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources regarding landslides in Kigumo constituency in Murang'a County. The nominated Senator, Honorable Beatrice Ogola, also will be seeking a statement from the Standing Committee on Information, Communication and Technology regarding the implementation of the Digital Literacy Program by the Ministry of Information, Communications and the Digital Economy. Also, the nominated Senator, Honorable Karen Nyamu, has a statement that she will be seeking from the Standing Committee on Roads and Transportation concerning the improvement of road infrastructure and enhancement of road safety in the country. Nominated Senator Honorable Crystal Asige will also be seeking a statement from the Standing Committee on Trade, Industrialization and Tourism regarding the Strategic Trade and Investment Partnership, commonly referred to as STEEP, between the United States of America and the Republic of Kenya. The Honorable Senator for Mombasa County, Senator Mwinyi Haji Mohamed Faki, also has a statement that he will be seeking from also will be seeking a statement from the Standing Committee on Education concerning the decline in performance at the Shimolatewa High School in Mombasa County. Senator Tabitha Mutinda, nominated, also will be seeking a statement from the Standing Committee on Education regarding financial support to needy and vulnerable students enrolled in institutions of higher learning. Nominated Senator Honorable Miraj Abdullahi also will be seeking a statement from the Standing Committee on Education regarding the management of funds at the Shimolatewa High School in Mombasa County. That is the pursuant to the House Standing Order 53-1, which provides that senators may seek statement from Standing Committee with regards to matters of county, inter-county, national, as well as international interest. The bill on the statutory instruments, this is amendment bill, a bill that is originating from the National Assembly, Bill number 2 of 2023, that is co-sponsored by the Senate Majority Leader, Honorable Aaron Cheruiyot, is also scheduled for consideration this afternoon at the Senate chambers. The business that will be transacted this afternoon is that this bill will be resuming its debate that was interrupted on the Wednesday of 15th May 2024 in the afternoon sitting. Remember, this bill, its second reading started yesterday or began yesterday, and this afternoon they will be going into division after that particular debate. That is the Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Amason Jeffa Kingi. He will be presiding over this afternoon sitting. Allow me to hand you over to this live broadcast brought to you by PBU in partnership with KBC. My name is Kamche Menza. Good afternoon.
Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu, tukusihi ututazame kwa neema nyingi na baraka sisi watumishi wako ambao umeridhika kutuita kwa nyadhifa za uongozi katika jamhuri yetu. Tukuomba tuwajalie, tuyatende na kufikiria mambo yote yatakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi yetu na wale ambao haja zao wamezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amen. Clerk, do we have quorum? Sergeant at Arms, kindly ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes.
Well, that is as provided for in the standing order number 39 and 40, where at the commencement of House business, 15 members should be inside the chambers for the House to be deemed to have achieved its required quorum for the House business to commence, failure to which that will necessitate the quorum bell. And of course, this is to inform or alert the members who may be within the precincts of Parliament and are yet to make their way to the chamber that their presence inside the chamber is highly needed and that they get to the chambers for the House to be able to achieve its quorum. As you can see, that is the Senate Majority Leader, Honorable Erin Cheriot, of course, counting the number of members inside the House. And once that quorum is achieved, if at least 15 members are inside it, then that will give room for the House business to start. But until then, that bell will be on. Let's go back to the business that is scheduled to be transacted this afternoon. Is that the Gambling Control Bill, a bill originating from the National Assembly, whose debate is at the Committee of the Whole. It is a bill that has already been committed to the Committee of the Whole stage. And debate on it at the Committee of the Whole stage has been on for the last 2 sittings. In the afternoon, that was on the 14th and the 15th. And now this is the 16th, still at the division stage. The Gambling Control Bill, a bill that is originating from the National Assembly and co-sponsored by the Senate Majority Leader, is that it's a bill that seeks to repeal and replace the Betting Lotteries and Gambling Act, Cap 131, provide for a legislative framework for the regulation of gambling in Kenya, and also incorporate safe gambling principles in the gambling sector. The bill seeks to regulate betting, casinos, and other forms of gambling, including the authorization of prize competitions, public lotteries, media promotions, among others. And this is a bill that also contains provisions on the establishment of the Gambling Regulatory Authority as a body corporate, the composition of that particular board, its functions and powers, the conduct of business and affairs, also includes the remuneration of the board. It provides for the appointment of a chief executive officer, a corporation secretary, and other staff of the board. It contains the financial provision of the board, also provides for the preparation and submission of quarterly and annual financial and non-financial reports to the National Treasury, and its performance and the performance of the operator. Well, this is a bill that has received, or rather there are amendments that have been moved therein. And with regards to the Committee of the Whole, is that the members have been considering the amendments. Some of the members that have been moving amendments include the Narok Senator, Honorable Ledama Olekina. And at the end of the Committee of the Whole, the members will be looking at whether the amendments that have been moved with regards to the bill be part of the bill or not. It is a bill that has a total of 123 clauses. So the consideration on the amendments in those clauses are still on, and that would resume this afternoon at the Committee of the Whole House stage. The Conflict of Interest Bill, a bill also originating from the National Assembly, Bills number 12 of 2023, also co-sponsored by the Senate Majority Leader, is also lined up for consideration at the Committee of the Whole House stage this afternoon. If you're just joining us, is that this is a quorum bell? And I
Take a seat. We do have quorum now, so we will proceed with today's business. Clerk, you may proceed to call the first order.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Senate Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Leader of Majority, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the Senate. Today, 16th May 2024. Reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements for the year ended 30th June 2023 of number 1, Tana Water and Sanitation Company. Number 2, Mombasa Water and Supply and Sanitation Company Limited. Number 3, Rukanga Water and Sanitation Company Limited. Number 4, Gatamadhi Water and Sanitation Company Limited. Number 5, Moranga Water and Sanitation Company Limited. Number 6, Kilifi Mariakani Water and Sanitation and Sewerage Company Limited. Number 7, Malindi Water and Sewerage Company Limited. Number 8, Karuri Municipality. Number 9, Vika Water and Sewerage Company Limited. Number 10, Githunguri Water and Sanitation Company Limited.
The Chairperson, Standing Committee on Finance and Budget. Senator Boni, you're a member of this committee, is it? Finance and Budget. Yes. You may proceed to lay the paper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Chair of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget of this House, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the Senate. Today, 16th May 2024, being the report of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on its consideration of the Public Finance Management Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 40 of the year 2023. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
Statements pursuant to Standing Order 52. The Honorable Senator Hamida Kibwana. That statement is dropped. Statements pursuant to Standing Order 53-1. Senator Veronica Maina.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources regarding landslides in Kegumo constituency in Moranga. The environmental disasters experienced across the country are not just natural occurrences, but consequences of pollution, climate change, and environmental degradation, which have disrupted the planet's balance, leading to extreme weather patterns. Mr. Speaker, sir, I commend the government for gazetting Friday 10th May 2024 as a National Tree Growing Day. This initiative aligns with the environmental conservation efforts geared at addressing climate change and underscores the importance of sustainable forestry practices that may play a big role in arresting cases of landslide. Mr. Speaker, sir, the recent landslides in Mairi and Marura in Kagari Ward and Gituamba in Kenyona Ward, both in Kegumo constituency, Murang'a County, have resulted in displacement of a substantial number of residents, some of whom have sought temporary refuge at Mairi Primary School. Mr. Speaker, sir, the affected people have lost their livelihoods, homes, and other properties due to the landslides and are facing a difficult future. And if help is not extended to them urgently, it will be difficult. In the statement, the committee should, 1, assess and report on the devastation caused by the ongoing floods arising from the intense rains currently experienced in the country, providing details of the number of people affected and estimates of the losses incurred. 2, explain the nature of assistance given to persons affected by recent floods and landslides, noting that the affected people are in dire need of temporary shelter, food, and medical care, and further state plans, if any, to support the resettlement of persons whose homes were destroyed by floods and landslides. And 3, to conduct a thorough assessment of the affected areas to mitigate the risk of future landslides and outline measures in place, if any, to find a lasting solution to the perennial incidences of landslides in parts of the country, including the improvement of drainage system and slope stabilization measures. Senator Veronica Maina.
Senator Beatrice Ogola.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, this is a request on the implementation of the digital literacy program by the Ministry of Education. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Information, Communication, and Technology regarding the implementation of the digital literacy program by the Ministry of Information, Communications, and the Digital Economy. In the statement, the committee should, 1, table a status report on the implementation of the digital literacy program in the country. 2, state which counties have benefited from the enhanced school infrastructure through the provision of broadband connectivity devices and power connection. 3, explain the criteria used to select the counties that benefited from the program. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee should state the total cost for the implementation of the project so far. Thank you, sir.
Senator Karen Nyamu.
I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Roads, Transportation and Housing concerning the improvement of road infrastructure and enhancement of road safety. In the statement, the committee should state the plans by the government, if any, to equip first responders at accident scenes with first aid training to rescue victims and prevent further injuries caused by mishandling, stating the timelines for the same. 2, detail the initiatives taken by the National Transport and Safety Authority, NTSA, to implement breathalyzers and drug tests on major highways to reduce incidents of drunk driving, which results in accidents and loss of lives. 3, state measures taken to ensure motorcyclists, cyclists, and pedestrians wear reflective clothing when traveling during night hours, considering these times are deemed as peak accident hours. 4, outline initiatives put in place by the government to educate and raise public awareness on the importance of crossing streets only in designated spots. And finally, state the plans by the State Department of Roads, if any, to enhance road infrastructure such as road markings, better lighting, and installations of more visible signage along major highways nationwide, and provide the timelines. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Crystal Asige.
Thank you, Speaker. I rise. Oh, okay. Thank you for the mic. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Trade, Industrialization and Tourism regarding the United States to Kenya Strategic Trade and Investment Partnership, STIP. In the statement, the committee should state the direct benefits of the U.S. to Kenya Strategic Trade and Investment Partnership Agreement. Explain the contents of the U.S. to Kenya Strategic Trade and Investment Partnership with respect to tariffs on agricultural products and particularly poultry importation in Kenya from the USA. And to what extent will this will it affect poultry farmers in Kenya? Explain the trade and investment opportunities that the ministry has provided to poultry farmers to enable them meet the market demand in Kenya and abroad. State how county governments have been involved in implementation of STIP due to the fact that most of these partnerships touch on devolved functions, such as agriculture. And finally, state how the government will ensure that the STIP agreement does not undermine trade agreements signed under regional bodies for which Kenya is a member, such as the African Continental Free Trade Area Customs Union and Common Market Protocol, COMESA agreement, amongst others. I thank you.
Senator Faki Munyahaji.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Education on the current state of Shimolateo High School in Mombasa County. Mr. Speaker, sir, Shimolateo High School is the only national boys' school in Mombasa County, and it has nurtured many prominent leaders in our country, including the Speaker Emeritus, Honorable Francis Ole Kaparo, and retired General Joseph R. Kibwana, former Chief of Defense Forces, to name but a few. However, the school has in the recent past experienced a downward trend in performance, among other issues, and if not addressed, it may never produce the caliber of renowned leaders it has produced before. In the statement, Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee should, number one, investigate the causes of the downward spiral of performance in the school, descending from a mean score of 7.6 in 2020 to a mean score of 6.1 in 2023, with the likelihood of a further downward trend going by the recent mock results of a mean score of 5.0. Number two, confirm the amount of and fate of the money realized from the disposal of all scrap metals from the school, stating who was authorized to dispose and whether due process was followed in the disposition of the said scrap metals as per the relevant law. Number three, the basis for the current policy of the school barring students from participating in extracurricular activities such as sports, and explain the vandalism of sports facilities in the school. And number four, provide a report on the school policy on employment and deployment of the non-teaching staff in the school, giving the ethnic composition of the said non-teaching staff. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Tabitha Mutinda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll read on behalf of Senator Tabitha Mutinda. This is on financial support to needy and vulnerable students enrolled in institutions of higher learning. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Education regarding financial support to needy and vulnerable students enrolled in institutions of higher learning. In the statement, the committee should outline the various funding categories within the higher education funding model, which is used to distribute scholarships, loans, and bursaries to needy and vulnerable students enrolled in universities and technical and vocational educational and training institutions, TVETs. Number 2, state the parameters used by the Ministry of Education to place needy and vulnerable students in the various categories of funding. Number 3, provide details on the financial support advanced to students in each category, indicating the precise amounts disbursed vis-a-vis the required tuition fee. And number 4, explain any measures put in place to ensure that students are accurately placed in the funding categories that correspond to their genuine needs. Senator Tabitha Mutinda.
Senator Miraj Abdullahi. Now, Senator Chimera, I have just consulted with the senator from Mombasa. The two statements, the statement that has just been presented by the senator from Mombasa, it's materially is the same with what you're just about to present. Senator Gloria, you're out of order. If it's not the same, you may proceed on the aspects that differ with the statement that has been requested. Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, before I proceed, I just would wish to seek your guidance because I'm seeing this statement was earlier on presented before Senator Mwinyihaji Faki presented this. Though it is fundamentally very different,
proceed.
The contents are different. Thank you.
Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 on behalf of Senator Miraj Abdullahi to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Education regarding the management of Shumolatera High School in Mombasa County. In the statement, the committee should, number 1, provide a breakdown of the fee structure of Shumolatera High School for the last 5 years and its utilization, outlining the rationale behind the consistent rise in fees for remedial classes, stating whether relevant stakeholders were engaged before the fee hike. Number 2, outline the measures implemented by the Director of Schools Audit Services within the Ministry of Education to ensure compliance with Article 29(2)(a) of the Basic Education Act that states that no child shall be refused to attend school because of failure to pay such charges. Number 3, investigate the whereabouts of the Kenya shillings 5 million fundraised by parents for the purchase of a school bus, as no such acquisition materialized, stating all other projects of the school has involved parents to initiate in the last 5 years, stating the amount the parents contributed and if they were issued any receipts. Number 4, carry out any inquiry into the condition of dormitories at Shumolatera High School, particularly to address reports of students sleeping on the floor despite fundraising for the construction of a dormitory which required parents to contribute 10,000 shillings each. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, state the reasons for the sacking of 6 staff members and the criteria used to recruit 10 new staff members in 2024, detailing the date of the advertisement, names of those shortlisted, and date when the interviews were conducted. Senator Miraj Abdullahi, MP.
Senator Amida Kibwana, your statement under Standing Order 52-1 had been dropped, but having explained your absence to the satisfaction of the chair, it's hereby reinstated and you may proceed to read it.
Thank you, Chair. Apologies. Sorry, I was appointed by my party in the Emergency Response Committee. So we were actually in Mavoko distributing food. My apologies.
Proceed, Senator Kibwana. And Senator Fernandez, you may not interfere.
Mr. Speaker,
proceedings.
Mr. Speaker, my statement is concerning the appointment of Major General Fatuma Ahmed as the first female Kenya Air Force Service Commander and Major General. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 52-1 Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 52.1 to extend heartfelt congratulations to Major General Fatuma Ahmed on her historic appointment as the first female service commander of the Kenya Air Force and Major General in Kenya. This milestone achievement not only marks a significant moment in the annals of our military history, but also stands as a beacon of inspiration for women across our nation. As the chairperson of the Kenya Women Senators Association, KEWOSA, I take immense pride in Major General Fatuma Ahmed's accomplishment. Her appointment not only reflects the growing recognition of women's capabilities capabilities in traditionally male-dominated sectors, but also underscores the strides being made towards gender equality and women's empowerment in our country. Mr. Speaker, sir, KEWOSA has long been a leader in advocating for women's empowerment and gender equality and championing the rights of marginalized groups. Major General Fatuma Ahmed's ascent to this esteemed position aligns perfectly with KEWOSA's core values and serves as a testament to the talent, dedication, and capabilities of Kenyan women. Mr. Speaker, sir, Major General Ahmed's exemplary leadership, professionalism, and dedication to service have made her a role model not just for women, but for all Kenyans. Her achievements pave the way for future generations of women to pursue their dreams and ambitions without intimidations. Mr. Speaker, sir, in conclusion, I call upon the August House to join me in congratulating Major General Fatuma Ahmed on her well-deserved appointment. Mr. Speaker, kindly protect
Order,
me from...
honorable senators, may the senator be heard in silence.
In conclusion, I call upon the August House to join me in congratulating...
What is the point of order, Senator for Kisumu?
In order for Senator, under Standing Order 1, is it in order for the senator to imply that KEWOSA has played a role in the promotion of General Fatuma, because there's no connection between KEWOSA and the general, who is my neighbor?
That's not true, Mr. Speaker. I said KEWOSA has...
Order, Senator. Senator for Kisumu, you are totally out of order for relying on Standing Order number 1 in this aspect. Proceed, Senator Hamida.
Mr. Speaker, sir, in conclusion, I call upon this August House to join me in congratulating Major General Fatuma Ahmed on her well-deserved appointment. Let us celebrate her accomplishments as a win, not just for her, but all Kenyan women who strive for excellence and equality in every sphere of society. Her journey reminds us that barriers can be broken and dreams can be realized through hard work, determination.
What is the point of order, Senator for Meru? That statement has been approved by the Speaker.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as much as I agree with the Senator Minda on this general, but severally she is refusing to acknowledge the name, the actual name of this general, Major General Fatuma Gaiti. Fatuma Gaiti Ahmed is a Meru lady. And refusing to recognize that Gaiti name because she was born in Meru and raised in Meru. Why are you avoiding the Gaiti? Can you kindly pronounce that name correctly? Major General Fatuma Gaiti Ahmed.
Senator for Meru, I wish you rose on a point of information.
Yeah.
Proceed. There's nothing out of order.
Thank you for the information, Bwana DS. I will repeat that paragraph. Mr. Speaker, sir, in conclusion, I call upon the August House to join me in congratulating...
Senator Boni, can we allow Senator Hamida to conclude on her statement? What is the point of order, Senator Boni? Yes. Senator Hamida, may you yield? Yes, Senator Boni, what is the point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I'm firmly aware that when you approved this statement, you did not wish to introduce, as the mover has done, and as the point of order has demonstrated, you did not wish to introduce the issue of introducing, Mr. Speaker, in our military, Mr. Speaker, segregation against men in our constitution.
Order, Senator Boni. Order. When the chair is speaking, you keep silence. Now, what the senator given is information. Is information. Does not necessarily mean that you're lawyer. The senator for Meru said, health from Meru. So I don't see the aspect of tribalism coming in. Secondly, Senator, you have not stated the standing which you're raising your point of order. And to that extent, you're out of order, Senator Boni. So kindly take your seat. Senator Hamida, can you conclude on this statement? Proceed.
Hey, I'm done, Mr. Speaker. Oh, gosh. In conclusion, I call upon this August House to join me in congratulating Major General Fatuma Gaiti Ahmed on her well-deserved appointment. Let us celebrate her accomplishment as a win, not just for her, but all the Kenyans, for excellence and equality in every sphere of society. Her journey reminds us that barriers can be broken and dreams can be realized through hard work, determination, and perseverance. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Tabitha Keroche.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I raise Pass 53-1 to seek a statement from Standing Committee on Finance and Budget regarding Nakuru County huge pending bills. In the statement, the committee should explain the circumstances which led to increase in pending bills from 809 billion as at 31st June 2022 to 1.615 billion as of 30th September 2023, despite availability of funds in the county revenue fund account during the period in question. State whether there are any elaborate plans, measures, and budget to settle all the pending bills accrued between 30th June 2022 to 30th September 2023 before the end of the current financial year 2023-2024. Signed by Senator Tabitha Keroche. My statement, Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant standing order 53-1 to seek a statement from Senate Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources regarding illegal possession of land of Nakuru Workers Housing Cooperative Society land. In the statement, the committee should explain why 421 members of Nakuru Workers Housing Cooperative Society are being illegally evicted from 63 acres piece of land they legally purchased from Duo Commercial Agency in the year 1990. Explain why the court issued judgment in favor of the vendor despite the fact that the land sale agreement document in my possession shows an irregularity where the vendor's lawyer and the buyer are same, raising serious doubts on conflict of interest, fraud, and malpractice. Signed by Senator Tabitha Keroche. Thank you.
Order, honorable senators. Senator Kavindu, take your seat. Senator for Machakos. We'll tell these stories later. Now, before we move to the next order, honorable senators, allow me to make this communication. I would like to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's Gallery this afternoon of visiting students from the University of Nairobi School of Law, Parklands campus. The students are in the Senate for a one-day academic exposition. Now, honorable senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. I will allow the Professor of Law and Senator for Kisumu to extend a word of welcome under 1 minute. And thereafter, I will allow Senator Mungatana also under 1 minute to extend a word of welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for order, Senator, for allowing me, Mr. Speaker, to invite the delegation from the University of Nairobi School of Law to the Senate. Ladies and gentlemen, senators, I want to welcome you to Senate. I am an alumni of the University of Nairobi, like many senators here. And when you take a day to visit Senate, it's an opportunity to learn not only about the bicameral system, but to understand the role of Senate under the Constitution and to see how bills are debated in Senate, so that when you go back, you are able to understand what we often teach you in terms of the stages that bills go through before they become law. So I welcome you heartily, and I also hope that you'll also visit the National Assembly so that you understand how bills brought concurrent jurisdictions over bills are undertaken, where a matter falls both before the National Assembly and eventually before Senate. So, Mr. Speaker, I thank you because it is important for every law student to appreciate the practical nature of the practical processes that bills follow before they enact into law. Out there, when law is unconstitutional, we often wait until laws are enacted by the Houses of Parliament before we challenge them in court. And I think the good measure is that the students will have an opportunity, one, to go understand the process of Senate, and then two, when they eventually become advocates, to understand the processes that they use now to go to court and to deal with petitions at that level. In Senate, we also have petitions. We have statements that you have heard read this afternoon. Statements inform the public on various public issues and also enable investigations to be undertaken on matters that are raised on the floor of Senate. I thank you, Speaker.
Senator Mungatana, kindly don't give a lecture, just like what our good professor
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also want to join you and Professor, Senator colleague, in welcoming the students who are here. I want to tell you, you have a very unique opportunity that we never had when we were students ourselves. I served in the student government in the university. I came out and practiced law. We served in the Law Society with Professor Ojienda, and we came out, and now we are serving the nation in this manner. We want to ask you to always put God before and work hard. And I tell you, everything is possible. So I ask you to focus on your studies and focus on hard work. It will work for you like it did for us. Thank you, and God bless you.
Senator Kisang, proceed with your request for statement.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Information, Communication and Technology regarding the recent internet disruption in Kenya caused by submarine cable cuts and falls. In the statement, the committee should, 1, elaborate on the extent of damages to the undersea cables affecting internet connectivity in Kenya and the broader East African region, stating the measures being taken to expedite the repair process and restore full internet access. Second, disclose any measures taken by regulators and relevant authorities to address the potential national security implications arising from submarine cable cuts and faults disrupting internet connectivity in Kenya, explaining what other measures are being implemented to safeguard critical digital infrastructure against such security concerns. Third, outline any measures explored or implemented to enhance the resilience of Kenya's digital infrastructure against submarine cable cuts and faults, and state the anticipated timelines for the implementation. And finally, Honorable Speaker, explain how these disruptions impact Kenya's competitiveness in the global digital economy and outline any strategies being considered to mitigate any potential long-term effects. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Mbugua George.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare regarding the various programs carried out by the Ministry of Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports. In the statement, the committee should, 1, table a report on the status of completion of both new and old sports stadia that have undergone renovation in the country from 2019 to date. 2, outline the counties that have benefited from the Taranta HERA programs, detailing amounts spent per program. And 3, explain the criteria used by the Sports, Arts and Social Development Fund to allocate money to the various sports federations and independent athletes. And 4, state the social development programs carried out by the Sports, Arts and Social Development Fund and the extent to which this fund has benefited persons with disability. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mgatana.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 52, 1, to make a statement on a matter of general topical concern, namely the Mental Health Awareness Month, which is observed worldwide in May and was first recognized in 1949. The Mental Health Awareness Month began in the United States of America as an initiative of Mental Health America to educate the public about mental health, to raise awareness surrounding research and treatments to reduce the stigma associated with mental illness, and to celebrate the recovery from mental illness. Mr. Speaker, sir, in Kenya, we are only beginning to embrace, appreciate, and accept mental health as an important aspect of our well-being. And therefore, we are not as schooled in these mental health matters as we should be. Some reasons that make people not seek care for mental illness include stigma, lack of awareness. Mr. Speaker, signs of mental health conditions and even lack of resources, they make us not seek mental health treatment. Mr. Speaker, the Mental Health Awareness Month offers us an opportunity to raise awareness and reduce the stigma surrounding mental and behavioral health issues, as well as highlighting the ways mental illness and addiction can affect all of us, patients, providers, families, and our societies at large. Mr. Speaker, sir, hospitals and health system play an important role in the conversations around mental health care, including creating partnerships that address mental health issues in non-traditional ways. Mr. Speaker, in my previous time, I served in the Ministry of Medical Services, and there was serious shortage of doctors in mental health department. Mr. Speaker, sir, this week, 13th to 19th May 2024, is Mental Health Awareness Week. And the theme that has been dedicated to this week is, quote, movement, moving more for our mental health, moving more for our mental health, end quote. Movement, Mr. Speaker, is important for our mental health, but so many of us struggle to move enough. We know there are various reasons for this, but during this Mental Health Awareness Week, I would like to encourage as many of us as possible, and Kenyans in general, to find moments for movements in their daily routines. Simple but most neglected things such as going for a walk in your neighborhood, putting on your favorite music and dancing around the living room, chair exercises where you are watching television, all of this, they count. And Mr. Speaker, sir, I may add for good measure, as chair of the Senate Sports Committee, assisted by Senator Beth Siengo, that we are encouraging our members to go back to the fields because we are now starting serious training for the games in the month of December. Mr. Speaker, sir, one of the most important things we can do to help protect our mental health is regular movement. Our bodies and our minds are interconnected. Looking after ourselves physically also helps us prevent problems with our mental health. Indeed, movement is a great way to enhance well-being. Mr. Speaker, sir, life gets busy and it can feel like we do not have time to spend on activities to improve our well-being. However, finding moments throughout the day might be easier than we think. I would like to invite all of us to reflect on some simple questions. How often do you find yourself waiting throughout the day, waiting for the kettle to boil, waiting for your children to come out from the school, waiting in your car, waiting for delivery? These moments all add up. If you use the time for moving, that would certainly add up. You could do simple things like marching on the spot, flexing your toes and fingers, doing some stretches on your chair exercises. Mr. Speaker, when you are beginning to move more for your mental health, it is recommended that you set goals for yourselves. Simple walking can be a goal. Pushing yourself each day further can be a goal. Perhaps it might be a good idea to keep a movement journal so that you can track your progress. Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to encourage us to take a break from sitting. Many of us sit for long periods during the day because of the kind of duties that we do. Mr. Speaker, sir, however, we must choose moving because this is the best option, usually, that we can most practically do on a day-to-day basis. Mr. Speaker, sir, I was reading the last regrets that most people who are about to die, people who, and this is a research that was done in old people's home. The greatest regret is that they didn't do or embrace family enjoyment systems or moments, fun and laughter as they ought to with their children. Mr. Speaker, movement, even as we do fun and laughter within the family increases our motivation and the psychological benefits that accompany them. This Mental Health Awareness Week, Mr. Speaker, I encourage us to create a little time to play games with our children, our friends, interrupt the extra long working weeks with a bit of fun movement, and this will give us energy boost. Mr. Speaker, sir, we can strengthen our personal relationships or even make new friends when we take part in movement activities with other people. These social connections are also great for our mental health and well-being. Mr. Speaker, sir, let me conclude by reminding us that the world is constantly changing for better or for worse, and it can be overwhelming to deal with everything going on around us. While society is getting more comfortable discussing mental health, it can still be hard to know where to start when it comes to taking care of our own well-being. This May, Mr. Speaker, as we commemorate the Mental Health Awareness Month, let us purpose to, 1, learn how modern life affects our mental health and find new resources to navigate our changing world. 2, act by building up coping toolbox so that we can better manage stress, difficult emotions, and challenging situations. And 3, finally, advocate to improve mental health for ourselves, our friends, families, and communities. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Statements pursuant to Standing Order 57-1, Majority Leader. The Senate Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 57-1 to hereby present the business of the Senate for the week that commences 21st of May 2024. Mr. Speaker, sir, 43 bills are pending conclusion in the Senate. Of these bills, 40 are at the second reading stage, while 3 are at the committee of the whole stage. 16 motions are pending conclusions, 20 petitions are due for reporting by the respective standing committees, while 348 statements are pending before the respective standing committees. The increasing number of petitions presented in the Senate clearly demonstrates the public unwavering trust in the Senate. For this reason, I cannot overemphasize the need for the standing committees to expedite considerations of petitions referred to them and table the reports within the stipulated timeline. The breakdown of petitions that are due for reporting by the various standing committees are as follows, Mr. Speaker. Standing Committee on Agriculture, 2 petitions. Standing Committee on Education, 2 petitions. Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights, 1 petition. Standing Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources, 1 petition. Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations, 8 petitions. Standing Committee on Roads, Transportation and Housing, 2 petitions. Standing Committee on Trade and Industrialization, 1 petition. I want to humbly request, Mr. Speaker, those that are members of the National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations, and as well as their colleagues in the Standing Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources to kindly expedite the petitions that are before them. They are the committees with the highest number of petitions that are yet to be reported on in the House. I've seen the chairperson, Senator Methu. I'm not sure if Senator Cheptumo or the Vice, Senator Karen Nyamu, is here. Mr. Speaker, they need to expedite on those petitions so that citizens can continue to present them before us. The SBC will meet on Tuesday, 21st May 2024. Tentative business for Tuesday will include business not concluded on from today's order paper, as well as business indicated in the notice paper, which includes bills at the second reading stage and motions. The tentative business for Wednesday, 22nd May 2024, morning sitting, will include schedule of questions as approved by the Senate Business Committee, as well as motions. The summary of questions is as follows. Question number 19 to the CS of Agriculture. Question number 21 to the CS of Treasury. question number 42 to the CS of Agriculture, question number 47 to the CS of Agriculture, and 2 questions to the CS for Environment. Those are questions that will be presented before the various ministers. We have the Minister for Agriculture, Minister for National Treasury, who I note has never made an appearance before this House, Mr. Speaker. The CS for Environment, a former senator, Mr. Speaker, will equally be here to respond to questions by various members on Wednesday, the 22nd of May 2024. Mr. Speaker, I hope members can find time to come and interact. And I must appreciate, Mr. Speaker, that the last few weeks have been quite interactive, and members have presented their issues before the ministers that have come. And we must appreciate the Office of the Speaker for indulging members, especially in the sticky topic of what is a related supplementary question. We want to beg that you indulge us even further, Mr. Speaker, because ministers need to know what is happening in their state departments, whether asked prior, present, or even in the future, Mr. Speaker. The business for Wednesday, 22nd May 2024, afternoon sitting will include business not concluded in the order paper on Tuesday, the 14th of May. These bills that are at second reading, which is an NCA Authority Amendment Bill, Meteorology Bill, which was moved yesterday. I think Senator Mungatana, at the rise of the House, was seconding actually that bill. Mr. Speaker, I haven't seen if it is on the order paper today. I think it is actually. Statutory Instruments Bill, Mr. Speaker, which we concluded second reading yesterday. The Wildlife Conservation and Management Bill, Nuts and Oils Crop Development Bill. There are various motions which include consideration of National Assembly amendments to the County Licensing Uniform Procedure Bill, Mr. Speaker. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I want to ask colleagues that upon the conclusion of Committee of the Whole stage this afternoon, Mr. Speaker, if you can stick around, we can conclude with this motion, because the committee has agreed to the amendments that have been done by our colleagues in the National Assembly. So it's a very straightforward matter that we don't need to hoggle upon. Upon the consideration of that motion this afternoon, Mr. Speaker, should you find that this is a matter that concerns counties as expected, then we can take the vote on it. This is a very important bill, Mr. Speaker, that sets the uniform standard for license payment across all our 47 counties. Part of the bills that we have been discussing in this House, Mr. Speaker, and many others. There is a report on the Standing Committee of Health into the alleged irregularities in procurement of long-lasting insecticide treated nets at KEMSA, a report that has been tabled before this House. I want to urge members to read and support that report. Finally, Mr. Speaker, the business for Thursday will be the business that will not have concluded on the previous day. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. I hereby lay this statement on the table of the Senate today, Thursday, I think it's 16th of May 2024.
Majority Leader, may you approach the chair, please? Now, Honourable Senators, at this juncture, allow me to invoke the provisions of Standing Order 45-2 to rearrange the sequence of today's order paper for the convenience of the House. We will move straight away to Order number 10, and thereafter we will resume number 8, no, number 9 and 10. And thereafter, we will resume normal flow of today's business as contained in the order paper. Clerk, proceed to call that order, please.
Order number 9, Committee of the Whole, the Gambling Control Bill, National Assembly Bills number 70 of 2023, Division. Order number 10, Committee of the Whole, the Conflict of Interest Bill, National Assembly Bills number 12 of 2023, Division.
Sergeant at Arms, could you please ring the quorum bell for 5 minutes? 10 minutes, 10 minutes.
The division bell is currently on at the Senate this afternoon. The chair of the Committee of the Whole at the moment, Senator Wakili Hilary Asegei, has directed that the quorum bell be rung for 10 minutes. At this particular juncture, the House is at order number 9 and 10, according to the order paper this afternoon, where the House is considering the gaming control amendment, the gaming control bill, this being a National Assembly Bills number 70 of the year 2023, and later the Conflict of Interest Bill, equally another bill from the National Assembly. These particular bills and the Senate are being spearheaded by the Senate leader of the majority party. And that particular quorum bell, or division bell rather, is set to let senators know that in the next 10 minutes or so, they'll be proceeding into a vote to vote on the Gaming Control Bill number 70 of the year 2023. The debate on this particular bill was already concluded upon yesterday, and what remains is the vote to be taken in regards to this particular bill. Let's now have a look at the proposals in this bill the Gaming Control Bill, which is a bill that is seeking to regulate how betting, lotteries are being done in the country. And according to this particular bill, is that the Gambling Control Bill 2023 is an act of Parliament to provide for the regulation of betting, casinos, and any forms of gambling, authorization of the prize competitions, and the public lotteries. This particular bill is for the purposes of establishment of the Gambling Regulatory Authority of Kenya for the imposition of tax on betting and other forms of gambling and for the connected purposes. Upon the passage of this particular bill, the proposal is to have among them the Gambling Appeals Tribunal, and this particular act is to provide for a framework for regulation and control of gambling activities, as well as authorize some gambling activities and prohibit the rest as unlawful gambling. There will also be the aspect of promotion of development of responsible gambling industry, as well as minimization of social harm associated with gambling. Matters to do with ensuring that there is integrity and fairness in licensed gambling activities, and provision for the establishment of mechanisms for resolution of disputes relating to gambling. The national government, under this particular bill, will have a couple of responsibilities. Among them is to establish policies, norms, and the standards for the conduct of betting, lotteries, casinos, and other forms of gambling. The national government will also be charged with the responsibility of regulating the gambling industry, and this is in accordance with the Act. License gambling activities, including online gambling, as well as license national lotteries, and conduct security checks, vetting. This is to ensure that there's due diligence in matters to do with respect of gambling activities. The national government, according to this particular bill, will also ensure that there's compliance with what is provided for in the Act in regards to the various companies that are engaging in these particular businesses, as well as conduct anti-money laundering, risk-based inspections, and inspection to combat financing of terrorism through casinos and any other forms of gambling. A look at pursuant to sections 2A, 36A, 36B, and 36C of the Proceeds of Crime and the Anti-Money Laundering Act of 2009, the national government will also be required to regulate and supervise the reporting institutions licensed under the Act, and to provide matters to do with capacity building and technical assistance to the county governments, as well as perform any other functions as may be prescribed under this particular Act or any other written law. Away from the national government, which is one of the entities that will be required to adjust a number of factors when this particular bill is passed by the Senate. Part 3 of the bill seeks to have matters to do with establishment of the Gambling Regulatory Authority of Kenya. And this particular authority shall be a body corporate with a perpetual succession and a common seal, and shall be taking, purchasing, or otherwise acquiring and holding, as well as charging and disposing of movable as well as immovable assets. The Gambling Regulatory Authority of Kenya shall be the successor of the Betting Control and Licensing Board established under Section 3 of the Betting, Lotteries and the Gaming Act. This regulatory authority will be based in Nairobi. We'll have a chairperson, a principal secretary from the ministry, the CS, the PS from the Ministry of Treasury, the Attorney General, and 3 persons not being public officers appointed by the Cabinet Secretary, being persons with background in matters of finance, law, betting, and lotteries, or business management. According to this particular bill, the Cabinet Secretary shall, in consultation with the authority, prescribe guidelines of practice on the manner in which facilities for gambling are operated, whether by the holder of the license under this act or any other person. The CS is also charged with the responsibility of ensuring that gambling is conducted in a fair and open manner, and as well as the ministry protecting children and any other vulnerable persons from being harmed or exploited by gambling. The division bell is currently on at the Senate, and we have the whip marshalling senators to the chambers this afternoon to ensure that the House is properly curated to take that particular vote on the gaming control bill. This is a bill from the National Assembly that seeks to regulate matters betting and how casinos are being run in the Republic of Kenya. The authority that will be monitoring how gambling is being conducted in the Republic shall continuously and on a regular basis monitor and report on its performance and on the performance of all of its licenses on a quarterly basis, with a summary of the performance reported through the authority's annual report on the basis of a clear outcome-based performance framework developed by the national government. Part 4 of the bill requires that a person shall not offer any gambling activity or service unless the activity or the service is licensed under this particular act. These particular provisions pertains to matters to do with license and permits to conduct this business. There appears to be some developments from the chamber. Allow me to hand you over. The division bell has been added a further few minutes as senators are waited upon to make their way into the chamber this afternoon to necessitate the House to be able to take a vote on the gambling control bill. Remember, this is a bill seeking to regulate as well as streamline the gambling industry in the Republic Of importance is the establishment of the Gambling Authority, which shall vet all applications for license. In this particular vetting, the authority shall determine whether an applicant is suitable to hold a license or a permit in relation to a body or its directorate, matters to do with financial status or solvency of a company or a person seeking to conduct the business of gambling in the Republic of Kenya. Upon the passage of this particular bill and subsequent establishment of this gambling authority, there will be a lot of vetting of companies as well as persons seeking to establish casinos as well as betting branches across the country, as well as on online platforms. The persons seeking to have licenses will be given an opportunity to be heard before determining whether the applicant is fit and for the purposes of this particular act to ensure that indeed the company does not do gambling that is illegal and that is which is going to harm the country. Remember, when this particular bill was being debated on the floor, senators raised mixed reactions in regards to various proposals proposed in this particular bill. But of importance is how senators stressed on the need to have the industry regulated, attributing some of the increase in the cases of suicide and mental health in the country to matters to do with losses that has been incurred in the gambling industry. According to senators, a number of youths have resulted into the aspect of gambling, and upon the aspect of losing, there is no know-how in regards to how one should handle losses, and that is one of the reasons that there is increased in the number of cases of suicide as well as mental health among Kenyans, and hence the need to control the gambling industry. The bill highlights the roles of the authority that will be succeeding the board that is currently in place. And part 7 of this particular bill on matters casino, slot machines, and other forms of gambling is that a person may be granted a license to operate a casino or other forms of gambling upon meeting the requirements in section 29 of this particular bill. The CS, in consultations with the authority as well as the Council of Governors, will be making regulations and prescribing the number of casinos, amusement machines, slot machines, and other forms of gambling that may be operated within counties, that indicating that the numbers must be limited to a particular number, and that will be determined by the Cabinet Secretary in consultation with the Council of Governors across the 47 counties. The CS, according to this particular bill, shall, in consultation with the Gaming Authority, make regulations prescribing the places where the gambling machines shall be placed. This includes distance to learning institutions, churches, or religious establishments, if you may like, as well as residential areas. According to this particular bill, is that a single bet in a casino machine shall be played for a minimum of 20 shillings. The Gaming Authority will, according to this particular bill, ensure that its officers are present in all casinos. The presence of Gaming Authority officers in casinos across the 47 counties is for the purposes of ensuring that there is compliance with the Act and that the conditions imposed by the authority under the relevant license are being followed upon. The country having gone digital and gambling having taken the online route, there are a number of proposals are proposed to regulate betting online. And among them is that an online person betting online shall not bet an amount less than 20 shillings in a competition. And any operator who permits someone to engage in online gambling activity for an amount less than the amount prescribed under this particular bill will have committed an offense and shall be liable upon conviction to a fine of not less than 5 million shillings or be imprisoned for a term not exceeding 5 years or both. In a case where one is registered as a player in an authorized game conducted by the license, the person shall not be allowed to participate in matches gambling. An operator is also required to put in place mechanisms to ensure that children not registered for online gambling, rather that children are not registered for online gambling, lottery, and that children should not bet. When one will be seeking to bet, the operator shall require proof of age of majority prior to matters to do with registration of every player. And away from that, the Gaming Regulatory Authority shall make regulations for the prevention of the registration of a child from an online game, lottery, or a bet. This particular bill also seeks to regulate matters to do with advertisement of gambling activities, where a person shall not, without the approval of the authority, promote the advertisement of a gambling activity on electronic media or any other forms of communication by holding himself out by advertisement, promotion, as well as notice and public placards without the aim of enticing members of the public to participate in gambling.
Senator Chimera, take your seat. Order members. Senator Mofaya, take your seat, please. Senator Tabitha.
23, 24. We are exactly 24, Chair.
Sorry.
Leader to approach the table.
Senator Aaron, please approach the table.
We just report progress.
Honorable members. Members, honorable members, we are unable to raise quorum for purposes of division. Confirm members. So,
All right. Then I think let's proceed.
honorable members, order. We now like to proceed with division on the Conflict of Interest Bill, National Assembly Bills, number 12 of 2023. We'll go for divisions. Sergeant at Arms, please lock the doors and draw the bar.
Senators to log out.
Honorable Senators, log out also from your delegates unit. And Sergeant at Arms, collect the cards which are not utilized from their delegate units.
Once standing orders, once Sergeant at Arms has confirmed. So Senate to log in.
Members, you now may log back in. We are ready to go for divisions. This is Honorable Senators, I now put the question that clauses 6, 11, 20, 23, 27, 28, 29, 31, 31A, 31B, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 47, 49, the first schedule and the second schedule be deleted as proposed. Honorable members, start voting now. Senator Joe Newton, please approach the chair. Honorable Senators, we now go to the second question, clauses with amendments, and I put the question that clause 3, clause 5, clause 7, clause 13, clause 15, clause 19, clause 24, clause 27, clause 29, clause 30, clause 34, clause 39, clause 40, clause 41, clause 42, clause 44, 46, 50, 51, the third schedule, and clause 2 be amended as proposed.
So, Chairperson, they can vote now, but no, the senator should not vote for anyone who is not in the chamber.
Honorable members, proceed to vote now. Proceed and do not vote for whoever is not in the chamber. Honorable members. Members, please forward. Members, please vote. Just about to conclude voting. Senator Kisang, approach the chair. Senator Faki, approach the chair as well. No. Now we are progressing to the next question, and I now put the question that clauses 3 as amended, 4, 5 as amended, clause 7 as amended, clause 8, 9, 10, 12, 13 as amended, clause 14, clause 15 as amended, clause 16, clause 17, clause 18, clause 19 as amended, clause 21, clause 22, clause 23 as amended, clause 25, clause 26, clause 29, clause 30 as amended, clause 39 as amended, clause 40 as amended, clause 41 as amended, clause 42 as amended, clause 43, clause 44 as amended, clause 45 and clause 46 as amended, clause 48 and clause 50 as amended, clause 51 as amended, the third schedule as amended, clause 2 as amended, the title and clause 1 be part of the bill. Honorable members, start voting now. Honorable members, kindly vote. Senator Tabitha Keroche. Senator Tabitha Keroche, approach the chair. Oh, and Senator Samson Kiprotich, approach the chair as well.
Second question.
Honorable members, these are the results of voting or division results. On the first question, these are clauses for deletion. The results are ayes 25, nays 0, abstentions 0. The ayes have it. On the second question, clauses with amendments, the ayes 25, nays 0, abstentions 0. The ayes have it. And lastly, on all clauses, the ayes 25, nays 0, abstentions 0. Honorable members, we are now reporting to the House. I'd like to ask the Majority Leader to move.
Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the Leader of Majority, Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee do report to the Senate on its consideration of the Conflict of Interest Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2023, and its approval thereof with amendments.
Honorable members, I now put a question that the committee do report to the Senate its consideration of the Conflict of Interest Bill, National Assembly Bills number 12 of 2023, and its approval thereof with amendments. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Honorable Senators, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senators, just a minute, just hold on. Honorable Senators, have your seats. Let us conclude this business nicely. So we are reporting on the bill by the Committee of the Whole on the Conflict of Interest Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2023. Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole has considered the Conflict of Interest Bill, National Assembly Bills number 12 of 2023, and seeks leave to sit again tomorrow.
As a mover.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move. No, sorry. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee on the said report. Did he read?
When did you say tomorrow? Please, the chairperson, repeat.
Sorry, Honorable Speaker, I want to take it again. Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole has considered the Conflict of Interest Bill, National Assembly Bills number 12 of 2023, and its approval thereof with amendments.
Okay, mover.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee on the said report.
Seconder.
I request Senator Chimera to second.
Where is Senator Chimera? Okay, Honorable Senators, I propose the question that the House do agree with the committee in the same report. I put the question that the House do agree with the committee in the same report. As many as of those similar opinions say aye. Aye. As those of contrary opinion say nay. There is have it. Mover. Senator Kisumu.
I second, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Senators, I propose the question that the Conflict of Interest Bill, National Assembly Bills number 12 for 2023 now land at that time. I propose the question that the Conflict of Interest Bill, National Assembly Bills number 12 for 2023 be now read at that time. We go to division. Let's proceed to vote. Senator Kavidu, approach the table. You are you are cruising from Abandea to Mount Kenya. Yeah, like Honorable Senators, just have your seats. This is the results of the division. Ayes 25, nays 0, abstention 0. The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to provide for the management and regulation of conflict of interest and for connected purposes.
Next order, we go now to order number 8.
Order number 8, the Statutory Instruments Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 2 of 2023, second reading division.
Honorable Senators, let me propose the question, then we vote. Let me put the question. Honorable Senators, Senator Medu, today you are very restless. What is the problem? I put the question that the Statutory Instruments Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 2 of 2023, be read a second time. Let's proceed and vote. Okay, Honorable Senators, this is results of the division on statutory instruments. Ayes 26, nays 0, abstention 0. The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Statutory Instruments Act.
Thank you. You can now open the doors and withdraw them back.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so Honorable Senators, we are now on order number 13. Listeners are appearing as order number 9 has been defined. So we are on order number 13. Next order, kindly.
Order number 13, the Meteorology Bill, Senate Bills number 45 of 2023, second reading, resumption of debate.
Senator Mugatana.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday, Mr. Speaker, I was just beginning to second this bill when the time ran out. But Mr. Speaker, this bill is very critical for purposes of managing the weather conditions in this country. Mr. Speaker, previously, the Meteorology Department has just been a department within a ministry. They have had constraints of budget. They have had issues with management of their funds, so that, Mr. Speaker, a technical ministry, a technical department like the Meteorology Department, Mr. Speaker, was unable even to purchase important equipment, Mr. Speaker, that is necessary for purposes of doing the scientific things that they need to do so that we can have accurate assessment of the weather and reporting to the citizens of this republic. Mr. Speaker, what this bill is seeking to do is to create an authority that will be semi-independent. This authority, Mr. Speaker, will have power to determine its own budgets. It will have ability to source funding. It will be able to collaborate, Mr. Speaker, with similar organizations all over the world. And, Mr. Speaker, it will be able to also partner with similar organizations all over the world. Mr. Speaker, these kinds of partnerships become very difficult to happen when you are within a ministry, when you are a department within a ministry. But when, Mr. Speaker, we establish an authority, the meteorological authority, as we want to do now, then, Mr. Speaker, we are able to enable this authority to reach its full potential. Mr. Speaker, previously, the issues of climate change were not a central global agenda. So it was okay to put the meteorology as a simple department within a ministry. But, Mr. Speaker, the issues of climate change have become now a major global agenda. And, Mr. Speaker, it will be sad that right now, Mr. Speaker, Kenya, through the President, we are heading the Africa climate change effort that is done through the heads of states in the African Union. And, Mr. Speaker, Our president has been on the forefront pushing the climate change agenda. And so it is incumbent upon us also to do what we can from behind. When, Mr. Speaker, we set up the Meteorological Authority, Mr. Speaker, that will be able to attract funding, Mr. Speaker, that will be able to enter into global partnerships, then, Mr. Speaker, we are heading on the right directions towards the climate change response. Mr. Speaker, meteorology is a science that requires a lot of research. When you look at the specialists who are employed in the department, in the ministry, Mr. Speaker, we are not able to attract the kind of personnel that is required. Why? Because the remuneration that is given to all the staffers, it is in keeping with the terms and conditions that are within ministries. And Mr. Speaker, some of the knowledgeable people that are required are highly trained personnel. Mr. Speaker, if we are an organization, we create an independent organization, then that organization will be able to attract other forms of remuneration, other forms of compensation for highly trained personnel that will be attracted to work in this Kenya Meteorological Service Authority that we are creating through this bill. Mr. Speaker, if this authority becomes a reality, the government of Kenya will have a central place where we can invest seriously on research. Mr. Speaker, issues to do with weather are highly advanced and highly regulated in more advanced economies. In fact, in those economies, Mr. Speaker, the kind of specialization is so high. Why? Because some of these countries depend on the weather, actually, even for their economy to function. So accuracy around predictability of how the weather will look like actually determine the productivity of those countries. Mr. Speaker, because of the kind of shifts, the kind of changes that have taken place within the environment we live in, the weather and the climate that we live in now, it is necessary, Mr. Speaker, whether we like it or not, to adapt to the new reality. And the new reality is that we have very, very different weather patterns that are emerging. And Mr. Speaker, because these weather patterns are different, we need a new strategy to deal with them. We need new research to deal with them. As it is constituted, the meteorological department cannot handle the new changes that are coming with the new climate realities that we live in these years. So, Mr. Speaker, setting up this organization will be able to attract the kind of research knowledge, the kind of research investment that is required for us to be successful in moving this Kenya society to another level. Mr. Speaker, the issues of predicting climate and the issues of climate change preparedness are also going to be tackled under this new authority. And Mr. Speaker, these things are real for us, people who come from highly climate affected areas like Tana River County, Mr. Speaker. We will need more accurate predictions of weather patterns so that, Mr. Speaker, we are able to also be prepared if it is predicted that maybe we are going to have long rains, if it is predicted accurately that you are going to have long dry spells. Mr. Speaker, the kind of information that will come from this new body will be more reliable. It will help the farmers who are doing their farming investment in Tana River County to be able to invest in accordance with the proper weather patterns. It will help the people who are doing livestock farming in Tana River County to be able to predict the weather patterns and invest accordingly. Mr. Speaker, sometimes we suffer very, very heavy losses because the weather, it goes for longer dry spells than anticipated, and then our cattle farmers who value their animals, they keep keeping them, hoping that it will rain. And if there's no proper predictions, what happens is we now have massive losses because the cows start falling off, then the goats, then the sheep. Why? Because people are living on hope. They're living on traditional ways of predicting whether it was going to rain or not. But Mr. Speaker, if we have a proper meteorological prediction that will come with a proper investment in this sector, that will come with a proper legal framework that we are setting up here in the Senate, Mr. Speaker, the losses our livestock farmers suffer currently will be reduced because proper weather patterns will be predicted. And people will know it is time to sell so that we don't suffer losses. Mr. Speaker, even the farmers who are doing agriculture, they will know what kind of crops that we should go with, because maybe we need a more climate adaptive kind of seeds for this particular season, because we have proper climate predictions from this society. Mr. Speaker, in short, I'm saying that we need to support this bill as Senate because we need to have a proper legal framework. We need to graduate the meteorological department from being a mere department, Mr. Speaker, to a Kenya Meteorological Society, so that, Mr. Speaker, that this authority now, a Kenya Meteorological Authority, will be able now to have proper investment from government and proper investment from partners, proper investment from donors. It will attract proper partnerships from Africa and outside Africa. And Mr. Speaker, will be also able to attract proper personnel, qualified people who can then give us fair predictions, more accurate predictions that will stave off any negative effects on the climate against our people. So, Mr. Speaker, I urge every member of the Senate who will speak to this bill, Mr. Speaker, to support what we are doing. What we are doing here, we are creating a new framework, a legal framework that will enable the Meteorology Department to transit into the Kenya Meteorological Authority that will be able then to attract all this support and function as an efficient authority and be able to attract the correct people. And Mr. Speaker, this will obviously over time translate into proper predictions, weather predictions, climate predictions that will help our farmers, both animal and agriculture farmers, who will be able then to get proper predictions, Mr. Speaker, and they will be able then to maximize on that information by making more profit from the activities they carry out. It will also stave off the losses that we currently suffer. So, Mr. Speaker, I urge all members to support this bill who will have an opportunity to speak to it. And, Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, I beg to second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Chalgay Samson. Honorable Senators, I propose the question that the meteorology bill, Senate Bills number 45 of 2023, be now read a second time. Senator Samson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise in support of the Meteorology Bill 2023. Mr. Speaker, the issue of climate change is now a reality. I remember in the last, I think when the Nairobi summit happened here in Kenya, in KICC, Mr. Speaker, there were Nairobi declaration that comes in force with the issues of climate change. I'm happy that the issue of meteorology is being given the necessary attention, considering, Mr. Speaker, sir, that in the past, they have only used circulars and policy directions from the ministry, line ministry. And you know aware that the issue of environment is dynamic. We have Environmental Management Coordination Act, the EMCA Act. We had the Climate Change Act that was put in place, Mr. Speaker. And the reality of climate change is here with us. That's why now many countries, organizations are refocusing their energy to the dynamic changing climate change, and even talking about climate financing. Mr. Speaker, this decade has shown us that now the conversation of climate change is becoming a reality, unlike in the past, where we used to take weather, Mr. Speaker. The establishment and the Kenyans, while we empathize and send our deepest condolences to many Kenyans who have lost their loved ones. I know as of a few days ago, more than 228 Kenyans have lost their lives since March this year, and 72 are still missing, as per the official records, Mr. Speaker. This comes at the wake of predictions of weather, Mr. Speaker. I know with the general information system, Mr. Speaker, nowadays you can use your gadget to predict the weather, Mr. Speaker, through your phone, especially with this either Android or iPhone, Mr. Speaker, to check the weather status. The accuracy of weather is very critical, especially like in Dubai, or other people say Dubai, Mr. Speaker. The other day they use prediction. And in fact, when you go to other modern countries with the advanced technology, their meteorological department predict that don't go out of the house today, even whenever there are heat waves like in America, like in India. So, Mr. Speaker, we need also Kenya Meteorological Department that has the necessary accuracy. Mr. Speaker, where I come from, by 15 March, we should be on planting season. But with the ever-changing dynamic weather, it has moved to April. But because we used to use traditional mechanisms, Mr. Speaker, we used to see seers. When I grew up, there were people like Ringis, Mr. Speaker, who would see and say there is no rain today or there is the other rain. So if the accuracy of traditional seers could see whether rain is there or not, I expect technology to be a bit higher, Mr. Speaker, so that in where I come from, we didn't need to depend on Ringis to know whether it is raining or not raining, Mr. Speaker. So the importance, this accountability, is to ensure that as we go into the future, we have a Kenya Meteorological Department that has accurate state-of-the-art equipments, and creating such a Kenya Meteorological Authority will allow them also to seek, Mr. Speaker, at the moment, we are discussing budgetary estimates by various state departments in the country. They will have opportunity to present their budget estimates before the environmental committees or the line committees that has been formed in this country or in this republic, Mr. Speaker, so that they get enough funding. Because sometimes you look at Kenya Meteorological Department, they say it's raining today, you don't see any rain. Sometimes they say it will not rain, it rains. So they have enough resources to modernize their equipment, and also, Mr. Speaker, to have a well-resourced and competitively hired, qualified, Mr. Speaker, because I know there are many young people. And today, Mr. Speaker, we were lucky there was a delegation of young people who are still in university. Most of them are starting these courses. The courses are being offered, Mr. Speaker. So we want authority that will be competitive and ensure people are hired based on their capacity and ability going into the future, Mr. Speaker. So the issue of meteorological information, I think this authority will be able to have its headquarters, and I'm happy, Mr. Speaker, in clause 5.4, the headquarters of the authority shall be in Nairobi, but the authority may establish county meteorological offices. Mr. Speaker, you are aware Senate is a defender and protector of devolution, so I hope in Kapsabet, where the headquarters of Nandi County will be, we shall be able to have a meteorological department there to allow my farmers to get real-time information, and even developing the breeds of animals or livestock will rear and the type of seeds to plant, because the advice of Kenya Meteorological Department will be key. I'd want to see in Makueni, Wote, where the capital of Wote County is. I want to see in Kakamega, where Kakamega town, where the headquarters is, so that it becomes easy and in the spirit of devolution. Mr. Speaker, the third point is maintain integrate information systems in line with the World Meteorological Organization information system. I think this is more direct. Mr. Speaker, in the last session, we had an opportunity of visiting Brazil, Mr. Speaker, on a finding mission where Brumadinho Dam had collapsed following our investigation with Solai Dam. Mr. Speaker, we visited the headquarters in Brasilia of disaster management in Brazil, and we were able to be told that when a disaster strikes, they get the alert within 20 seconds. Mr. Speaker, when Brumadinho collapsed, just the way Solai Dam and the issue of Mayu and the other day here in Kimende, Mr. Speaker, there they were able to mobilize within 5 minutes almost 20 choppers and create a substation of managing the disaster that happened, Mr. Speaker, at that point in time. So the issue of meteorological will assist in predictability and ensure that the issue of climate, the issue of weather is properly predicted, Mr. Speaker. Even for the aviation industry, Mr. Speaker, you need, I know for us who drive, I don't know whether we need to predict the weather, but it's very critical in aviation, especially when you're having erratic. We saw sandstorms maybe in Middle East. We have seen ice storms maybe in America. And sometimes Chicago International Airport is sometimes cannot, it's not, the planes are not allowed to fly, especially when there is challenges of weather in North and South America, where luckily in Africa we don't have as rough weather as it is happening there. So the issue of information, I know there are Kenyans who will be traveling to other countries. If we have integrated, it will assist the aviation sector, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on the timely meteorological information, that is very important. Information for search and rescue missions and accident investigation. I think whenever accidents happen, it is important. Sometimes, Mr. Speaker, I see people going to ski at Mount Kenya and they get lost. So sometimes it becomes challenge, but I think when we have this in place, it will ensure, Mr. Speaker, and even assist my farmers, so that as they couple and struggle with the issue of planting, Mr. Speaker, they are able to ensure that they plant within the right time, Mr. Speaker, and you know also in my place, we don't need to use animals, Mr. Speaker, because sometimes we see when the cows are on heat, then it is mating season, then we know the weather has changed, Mr. Speaker. So, but I don't think it appears to human, it can be with the human beings, Mr. Speaker. So, Speaker, on the management of authority, these are straightforward matters. The board is important, and I think it will allow the oversight and accountability when running these issues, Mr. Speaker. I think even the duties of the Director General, I think the bill, essentially, Mr. Speaker, tries to provide how the Kenya Meteorological Department shall be. And I'm happy that in part 5, in my 5th point, Meteorological Training and Research Directorate, which is very important, and I have said, Mr. Speaker, the funding of this institution is very critical. In fact, with the climate action and the passing of Climate Change Act, we are getting more funds, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the President because last Friday, it was National Tree Planting Day. And I think the issue of green energy is another push, the climate financing. I hope in climate financing we shall introduce Meteorological Training and Research Institute. So, Mr. Speaker, it was not just an holiday in vain. I know, Mr. Speaker, Kenyans were happy that it was a Friday, it's an holiday, and it is a weekend, Mr. Speaker, and young people in this city and across our major towns, disappear through what we call a luta. They disappear like Jesus Christ from Friday until Monday, Mr. Speaker. So it's the challenge to Kenyans that we need to plant trees, and we were challenged that at least you plant 50 trees so that it is Kumaloku finish, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on the clause financial provisions, the funds, and I'm happy that it has provided in clause number 30, that will be my 6th point. Organization, Mr. Speaker, the reason, and Senator McQueen will agree with me, the reason most of universities are in red, or most of them are technically insolvent, is because they don't have a resource. They can't get donations. There is no well-resourced mechanism. In fact, that is why the government has changed university model, financing model way. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, on this clause 29, just a small point, is that I hope in this research, I want to propose through this board that why don't they partnership with our universities and colleges so that the courses that they offer on issues of meteorological, they can be partnership, so that they give research funds to most of the universities and colleges to ensure, Mr. Speaker, most of those have sufficient and enough resources to do the research and be able to build capacity of our students in higher learning, and even partner with other institutions. I would really want to see, and if it was not there, I will bring an amendment to bring that partnership, even with international organizations, to see how we can resource and finance. The raise of financially, Mr. Speaker, I'm happy it will say it appropriated by Parliament. Mr. Speaker, and you know, I know that matter is in court. You know, some of us are arguing that the issue of financial appropriation and budget mocking process is a process that involves Parliament. But I don't know why there have been a view that it is only National Assembly that appropriates finances to state and other both levels of government. But I'm happy the wording here, Mr. Speaker. I know the National Assembly might invoke Article 110.3, Mr. Speaker, but I'm happy the wording has been the such monies as may be appropriated by Parliament for purposes of this authority. I know this where the rubber will meet the road, Mr. Speaker, or the road will meet the rubber, because I know there's push and pull, where we have been having an argument that we should appropriate. And therefore, many people have seen senators that are less out simply because we might reading, Mr. Speaker, and I hope the mover of the motion will know this. It is somewhere in the Constitution that Parliament shall appropriate to independent commissions, Mr. Speaker. It does not say National Assembly. And I'm happy on the financial, Mr. Speaker, I think this generally creates a meteorological public service. Let us ensure that the people, Mr. Speaker, the challenge. I know the other day, Mr. Speaker, there was an argument of wage bill in the country. There was even a conference of wage bill in Bomas of Kenya. It was very tragic because I didn't see you as the Speaker of the House or even committees of Parliament being invited to talk in that wage bill conference that was there. Because at the end of the day, Parliament is the one that appropriates money that pays the public service, servants both at the counties and the national, Mr. Speaker. But the essence and the gist of the matter, while we argue that we pay over 1.4 trillion to public servants, for example, most counties are also gone beyond the rules and regulations of minimum of 35%. I don't think there is a county that is below 35%. Most of them are 6. Therefore, you find the recurrent expenditure, and that is a time bomb, Mr. Speaker. I know with the creation of this bill, there will be perception that we are ballooning the wage bill. That is not the case. This is based on need assessment, Mr. Speaker. Because when you look at counties, there is a time bomb, Mr. Speaker, that is happening in our counties. The wage bill is very sad because at the end of the day, where I come from, for example, Nandi, people who have been hired, of 4,333 that have been hired by Nandi County. Over 60% of money that has been allocated to Nandi goes to wages, goes to salaries and personal emoluments, Mr. Speaker. I know for Parliament, and we have argued, Mr. Speaker, with county assemblies, including yours, Bomet, that we have argued that should Parliament of Kenya and county assemblies be subjected to 35%? Our thinking is not. Because at the end of the day, most of the work of parliamentary work, both at county assembly and at national parliament, is essentially recurrent. It's more of, we do our work based on recurrent. It is based on staff. You know, the difference is that we don't implement, we don't make a road. Instead, we hire researchers, we hire clerks, and that is the essence that we need to ensure, Mr. Speaker. So the point I'm trying to make is that while we argue the wage bill has become a challenge, and I want to inform the House, because I have had the pleasure of sitting in Senate Public Accounts for almost 6-7 years now, Mr. Speaker. The challenge that we have, and senators should know this, is the issue of wage bill is becoming a serious issue. Because, Mr. Speaker, and I know the members of National Assembly the other day were trying to vilify our additional of 415 billion, and we say that is modest, Mr. Speaker. The budget of the country is 4.2 trillion. In fact, we should be blaming the National Assembly, Mr. Speaker, for delaying, because under Article 210, it says latest audited accounts. It is the National Assembly that have taken long to ensure they update latest audited accounts, because we are using accounts that was around 1.2 to 3 trillion at that, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, at the end of the day, when we request for 415 billion to counties, we are aware there are challenges with counties. We are aware of the corruption. We are aware, and I know a story from your county, a village called Kiswahili, but the person who spoke did not have Kiswahili. And the village is called Kiswahili about the swept bridge in that village. We want the money to go to the development in counties. But that one is not a justification to deny counties enough resources to do their job. Mr. Speaker, we have a challenge with on-source revenue. The potential that has been given by CRA to counties, for example, Nandi, is at 630 million. I don't know, Makwene, maybe when Senator Manzo will be speaking, will tell us revenue potential. The question is, we must ask counties, even in Kakamega, we must ask counties to improve on their own source revenue so that they don't depend only on equitable shareable revenue that comes from Nairobi. Mr. Speaker, the soft underbelly in the success of devolution is corruption. What we should be demanding as a parliament, and this is my free advice, as I come to the tail end and to my submissions, Mr. Speaker, I want to advise the National Assembly. Mr. Speaker, they are the one who appropriate finances to EACC through the State Department of Law and Chief Administrative of Justice. What National Assembly should be doing is to invite the EACC to tell us what are they doing about the fight against corruption in counties and other sectors, Mr. Speaker. I am aware, I saw in the news that EACC had recovered a property of over 3 billion. They are targeting to recover 7 billion. That is good. But we want to know who took this property so that we name and shame them. And they should be charged in the court of law, Mr. Speaker. So it is not enough telling us you have recovered through illicit money, through money that has not been gotten properly. The National Assembly, and I want to challenge the Justice Legal Affairs Committee of National Assembly, led by my brother, that let them, the best way they can assist us as counties, let them put pressure on EACC to fight corruption in counties. We saw the fertilizer scandal by the county government of Kakamega. We want to know who was implicated, Mr. Speaker, because as we fight the bigger cartels in Nairobi, we also fight the upcoming and growing and maturing cartels in counties, Mr. Speaker, through EACC, Mr. Speaker, and other organs. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I want to say to governors on this aspect of devolution, I hope, Mr. Speaker, and I want to request as we form this law, that let officers that will go to manage county offices be from Kenya Meteorological Department, that authority that we shall establish, Mr. Speaker. We don't want also governors to take advantage. I know we have a challenge of wage bill. You get a governor, there is a governor from Western Kenya, I think he's former. He used to have his VIP toilet being carried around. Mr. Speaker, he used to have a seat being carried around. I don't know, Senator, even Machakos. I don't know, Mr. Speaker, why would you carry a mobile toilet around unless you're having diarrhea or you're having stomachache? Why would you carry? And what is wrong, Mr. Speaker? Why are you carrying your seat? Mr. Speaker, why don't you sit on a plastic chair? And the people who gave you, why would you carry your seat somewhere from, you take your seat from Kapsabet like my governor, all the way to Tindred, around 50 kilometers. For what? Only to sit. Why don't you there so that you show you are with the people, Mr. Speaker? Why would governors, and then you have a retinue of advisors, Mr. Speaker? One governor has over 10 advisors. What is he being advised about? Is it including advice on the issues of girlfriends, or what is the problem has been asserted by this? What are they advising on, Mr. Speaker? Are they advising? You had people are being advised by 10 advisors. Mr. Speaker, even Jesus Christ is the only counselor and wonderful guider, as is in Isaiah, in the book of Isaiah provided by, and I know Senator Manzo is our caucus chair of National Prayer Breakfast, and will tell you the only counselor is Jesus Christ. Why is governor having 10 advisors? You know, I've never understood. On youth affairs, what do you want to know about youth? And you know you don't have employment. Why don't you put a budget on how youth can be empowered, how women can be empowered, Mr. Speaker? So I want to say I support this bill. I look at the issue of research, if we can amend to include partnership with learning institutions, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want also to send my condolences to you and the people of Bomet for one of our best, just 30 seconds, Mr. Speaker, for one of our best local secular artists, Sweet Star, for losing his beloved mother from in Bomet, Mr. Speaker. We are praying with you and take our condolences to him and the music fraternity in Bomet. You know, Bomet is the home of our local music, Mr. Speaker. I thank you and I support.
Thank you very much, Senator Chergey. I can confirm that your condolences will get to the bereaved family. Senator Manzo Daniel Kitonga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the department dealing with weather is very, very important in the country. Meteorology department has been a big help to the country so far, but a lot of time the advice has not been given. I like what the leader of majority has done with this law, but there is a trend which is very common in the current government of setting up as many boards as possible. And I think this is a very big wedge bill to the country, unless you have a serious justification. We must first of all know what is currently wrong with the meteorological department, and they've been doing very well. Are they not well funded? And if it is funded, and for example, for you to read weather properly, you must have specialized aircrafts which can fly very high above Kenya, and so that can be done in collaboration with the Air Force, and then take the necessary photographs, and the weather forecast is done. Weather forecast is not just done for Kenya. It is done for East Africa. It is done for the world. So it means you must have a system collaborative with the whole world. That system is the ministry dealing with the environment and weather. And so far, this department has been received very well in terms of devolution. Every county in this country, Mr. Speaker, has a CEC in charge of weather. They even have a director in charge of weather. And while they collaborate, they may not have the instruments, and they could have sufficient instruments to do with the local weather. But while they have, when they have a collaboration with the national department, they're able to get information shared to them. In fact, Mr. Speaker, if you just get into your phone now, you'll be able to get any weather forecast in any place on Earth. The bigger challenge has been how you'll be able to predict what the weather will be, and especially when danger is likely to strike. The US uses that very well. You know when there are tornadoes, where they will be, where they will pass. And even as we expected a tornado in East Africa, although it had been forecast that it could come to Kenya, we will only be precautionary. It ended up in Tanzania and caused a serious damage there. So climate change is real. But what's the best way of responding to climate change? Is it by just forming one more boards? And in fact, since this regime started, we've had close to 100 boards now be formed, be proposed in the National Assembly and in the Senate. While previously, there was a general regulation of, under the state corporations and something called Mongozo, that we should combine the efforts to as many smaller boards as possible, and that's why AFA was formed. And I think AFA has been very effective because there was a sugar board, a cotton board, every product a board. And all these people mismanaged cotton board mismanaged the cotton, sugar board mismanaged the sugar. So we should be coming with smaller and fewer boards in the country. And one board should be able to do as many functions as possible. So I don't think a board is necessary. What is necessary is to strengthen the Department of Meteorology in this country. It to strengthen the departments of meteorologists in the counties. And the weather can be read anywhere in the world, anytime, even just through your phone. Any place you Google, you'll be able to be told what the weather is. Meaning the whole world is up to date. And therefore, this law by the leader of majority, Mr. Aaron Cheriot, Senator, is totally unnecessary for now. Is another selfish way of creating employment for certain individuals, is another way of ballooning the wage bill, and they should be discouraged as much as possible, and especially by the state. And in fact, the next time I'll have an opportunity to address the president, I'll tell him about the many boards which have been formed in the country, which can only balloon the wage bill, and I'm sure you will agree with me. Now, when you look at what is happening currently and the change of weather, we plant trees. When we plant trees, we don't water them. And I think it's an exercise in futility. Before you plant a tree, you must know how you are going to water it in the next 3 months, or forecast the weather properly, to know that when you plant trees now in different parts of the country, then they will survive. Now, the trees we planted in Makueni, in dry weather, even when they are acclimatized to the area, they are not likely to survive unless there is a strategy to have them watered by school children or any other system in the next 3 months. So what we did, we just wasted a lot of public resources unnecessary. But now where you planted trees and there's going to be rain in the next 3 months, then you have succeeded. But you cannot plant trees at the tail end of the weather and at the tail end of the rain season. So I think this holiday for planting trees really should be rethought afresh and should be regionalized so that we all go. Although personally I plant trees throughout, and I plant trees which can grow in Makueni climatic conditions, and we have many people in Makueni planting trees, and in fact we are also planting fruits, mangoes and oranges every other time. And the climate which is appropriate, we plant avocados and we plant the macadamia. And in fact, I got a lot of trees, seedlings from the Minister of Agriculture and the ministry to Makueni, but it was coincidental with the voting of the minister to go home. And we were making a report here. Although it was a bribe, I said we'll plant the trees, but we'll vote against the minister who has supplied fake fertilizer. So tree seedlings should not come to senators as a bribe and should be timed well by weather. That's why this law should have been we have quite many laws on environment. It is one of them where we should be improved. And weather focus should be done for many years. Mr. Speaker, I remember when there was a problem in Athi River, when a developer wanted to build houses on the Athi River bed, the necessary organs in the government were taken to court. NEMA was taken to court. And NEMA was told that's not riparian owner. Yet the wisdom of Jesus Christ say that you cannot build a house on the bottom of the river. You cannot build a house on the rock if you want it to survive during the rain season. So I warned through the television, through this floor, through the people I could meet, that the court is now wrong and the developer is wrong. And Mr. Speaker, Because I've seen floods, that river not have a flood for 20 years as I come to Nairobi. Every 20 years, that river has serious floods. And it finally, although a stream flows, this time round it went over, the trees. Just like many years, 20 years ago, all the go downs around that area in the river were sunken in water. If we had a proper weather forecast, then the people with the developer would have been advised, we are sorry, these houses will go one day. And they were all swept, Mr. Speaker. People, children were woken up at night. Innocent Kenyans have bought these houses. Now a court order had been given. It is not clear how they will ever be compensated. But I suggest a constitutional suit will deliver to the people of Earth River who had been cheated to buy a house on the bedrock of a river. And there is also something called contributory negligence. They should have used their common sense and read that a river was trying to be diverted its course, and this land was riparian. Now, Mr. Speaker, the government is acting too late on all riparian lands. The late Mishuki would never have allowed, while dealing with the environment, a thing of that nature. The late Mishuki would never have allowed a law like this to be brought to Parliament. It is just creating employment, it is just ballooning, and it is totally of no consequence other than what the scientists are already doing in the country, which they are doing it very well under the Department of Meteorology, and who need to be improved. It is National Assembly who should be allocating more resources to them. It is the National Assembly, the universities should be coming with a stronger department, because now environment is becoming so serious in the world, and environmental law has been improved. We should be coming up with a law which protects the environment and will help us forecast the weather better, other than having a law which is not carefully thought, which is not carefully drafted, and it is simply bringing in, employ more people into already. So what then will you do?
Senator Halwale.
This law has not said, Mr. Speaker, this law has not said what will happen to the current existing department. Will the act which is dealing with that be repealed? And if so, how many acts of parliament will be repealed? Will it be split into two? Or what will happen, Mr. Speaker, because there's a law existing? So, Mr. Speaker, this is clearly over legislation, unnecessary, a waste of public resources. And Mr. Speaker, I don't support it. I urge other members, reasonable members of the society, to reject it, like Senator Governor Halwale, so that we can save Kenyans' funds and do the right thing. Let's do the right amendments to the right law to make it better and fund the meteorological department, which have served Kenyans very well so far. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. I oppose.
Senator Tabitha Mutinda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support this bill and really appreciate the majority leader for bringing this bill. One, let me start by giving my sincere condolences to all the families that have actually lost their beloved ones during this particular time. We've seen how the floods, the damage that it has caused, ranging from health sectors, the road infrastructure, the schools. There has been quite massive damage, and my sincere condolences to the families. Mr. Speaker, I've looked into this bill, and I feel that this bill comes in at a very critical time in our country. At times, we should go beyond looking at issues in a financial perspective all the time. We need to look at what brings us to the position that we are in, what makes us make the decisions that we make at that particular time, as much as there's always an cost implication, but the impact that then that decision will bring aboard is very important. Looking at this bill focuses, Mr. Speaker, on addressing very key fundamental issues as far as the weather forecast is concerned. And the issues that are going to be addressed, Mr. Speaker, are much long-term, you know. It's more on the provision of regulation, coordination, monitoring, management, and control of meteorological services. Mr. Speaker, the bill also focuses on having an authority called the Kenya Meteorological Service Authority, and which will be capable of different things like undertaking and performing all activities necessary for the proper performance of functions under this particular act that may lawfully be done or performed by anybody or corporate responsible for the provision of meteorological services in Kenya, among many other services that are going to be embarked on, Mr. Speaker. I listened to my colleague from Makueni, and it is only the negativity the disapproval has been much more on the financial implication, Mr. Speaker. We are at a time of climate change issues, more specific financials, the climate financials, and there's a lot of funding that comes aboard when it comes to matters climate change, Mr. Speaker. So there'll be actually, there is actually, because from the committee that I sit as the Vice Chair of Finance and Budget, we really allocate conditional funds mostly on matters climate change to different counties. So funding is already in place. What needs to be understood as far as this bill is concerned is much more on now the impact that the personnel will be able to bring aboard so that we can be able to ensure when we have like the floods that we've been having, there are better ways and measures to be able to mitigate. More dams should be set and put in place because a lot of this water should have been collected. From floods, Mr. Speaker, we note that as a country, we also experienced drought. But if we've been able to set dams aside, some of these climate changes, like during the time of drought, would be addressed when we have enough and adequate water that has been tapped. And this can be mitigated by the funds that will be set aside for this, or some of them that are already in place to be able to set aside or put dams that can be able to massively collect enough water, especially in the dry regions, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, where I come from the eastern region, most precise Kitui, we have water issues. And this bill will be able to give priority to some of these regions that normally have drought issues on how then more improvement in terms of the water catchment so that it can be able to improve agriculture on these particular areas, which results to food security and also economic empowerment for our country, the region, as I've mentioned, among other regions in place, Mr. Speaker. I've noted the bill also has done a provision for digitalization during the meteorological studies. Then there can be information that is relayed to the members of the public, to Kenyans at large, digitally throughout, because if the system is digitalized, then there's prompt information, there's prompt awareness, there's also prompt ways of then, if this occurs, which are the rescue centers, how to where to seek assistance in the event that these issues do occur, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, allow me to note that 2 weeks ago, we had a conference with the Ministry of Treasury and asked the Committee of Finance and Budget and also the Caucus for Climate Change in Mombasa. And we were able to note that 2 counties, including my county of Nairobi and the county of Mombasa, have not been able to adhere to the basic conditions so that they can be able to receive the FLOCA funds. And these are funds that when in these particular counties, which are actually among the big cities in Kenya, then the funds can be utilized, especially during these disaster moments. So it's good that counties are there. As much as we are focusing on giving them more funds, they should also be able to ensure that they tap all funding that is available for them. And the basic requirement, as far as the donors are concerned, they should be able to adhere to those basic requirements so that they are able to receive those funds, so that they can be able to utilize those funds. Because we've had cases whereby counties have complained of late disbursement and things like that. But you realize, apart from the monies that come from the national government to their CRF accounts, we still have monies from donors that some of these funds are just lying around because the personnel who's mandated to ensure that they account for the funds, they do not quickly and on time adhere to that, then hence causing delays. And these funds are available. We are always allocating these funds conditionally to the different counties, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I noted on the same bill that as far as the qualifications of the Director General are concerned, I'm happy to note that in this bill, it has been more specific, and like sometimes in other bill, it's an issue that I always raise in terms of qualifications, to be more specific, what type of degree that this personnel should have. But this bill has been able, on Article 19, Section 3C, it has been able to indicate that the person should have a first degree in meteorology and a master's in a degree relevant to the science, of course from a recognized university around in Kenya and around the world. But what is positive is that it's a degree from meteorology studies, which is very important, because at times we've seen like case in Nairobi whereby people have been given opportunities to be in the Department of Disaster Management, and the qualifications and the responsibility are not matching, and at times then that gives us a challenge, and the output cannot be much expected, or even if it's going to be there, it might not meet the standards that are required, that need to come with it, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, with those few words, I do support. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Mutinda. Senator Muma, Catherine.